Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Thread. This might be the last episode for this week as we are getting ready for Pesach. A lot of people traveling, a lot of people driving all over the world, which I think is kind of a new phenomenon. But anyways, welcome back to the Daily Thread. We're happy to have you here. Do you think it's a new phenomenon, people driving to Orlando in Florida?
No, it's not Orlando. It's a whole WhatsApp group infrastructure.
I know, but this is all within the last 7 years, no?
Well, I think most of it really caught people's attention when the hotels didn't open because of COVID. And the only way to go, if you wanted to go, if you were determined to go away for Yontif, the only way to do that was to rent a home in number one. The only way to do it was to rent a home in Orlando, number one. Number two, even if you made a reservation in a hotel, there was a lot of risk involved that the health department, for this reason or that reason, would close them down. And then not only would you lose your money, but you would also have not have a place to go for Yontif. So, people try to imagine that they can control their destiny in one way or another, even though everything is in the hands of God, as we know. But we live with a little bit of denial that we think we control things. So anyway, when it comes to something really that looms as large as Yontif, I mean, Pesach is large. It's really been dominating the thought process in the home for weeks already, and now Yontif when starts. Yontif starts Wednesday night. I mean, it's Monday. And you would think that Yontif started already. I mean, there's like a different feeling in the air. Don't you feel it? Don't you feel different this week than last week?
Yeah, definitely feels more.
Yontif. You feel Yontif, Dick.
Yeah, Yontif is upon us. It's very exciting, and it's funny. Just as quick as it starts is how quick it is, as quick as it ends. And I think as Jews, the second Purim was over, we were worried about Pesach, and the second Pesach's over, we're already thinking about what, Shavuos, and then Tisha B'Av, and then Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and then the cycle starts again.
Well, first of all, you should try not to do that. You know how long a day really is. Just think of like a Sunday, a day that your wife leaves you taking care of your kid the entire day, and you really see how long a day is.
Yeah, truly.
And that's especially if you think time flies. All you have to do is spend like a Sunday with your grandchildren, and you look at the clock and it's 1:00, and you look at the clock 3 hours later and it's like 10 after 1. The time just like stalls, just like stops.
Listen, you gotta savor. That's. It's the slogan of one of our programs at Meaningful Minute. Pause. It's got to savor the moments that matter.
Yeah. That's exactly right. You have to live, what's it called? Mindfulness?
Yes.
Is that what it is? That's the key word, mindfulness? That
is.
You have to live in the moment. Don't dwell on the past too much. Don't worry about the future so much. Live and enjoy today. If Monday, if you're scampering around, to buy stuff to prepare for Yontif, that in and of itself is a beautiful thing, and a great mitzvah. And hopefully you could do it in an enjoyable way, and you don't get bogged down with problems.
Absolutely. So we ended off last week's episode, the last episode of the week, speaking about the Pesach Hotel in Atlantic City that was supposed to take place, and which left hundreds of families sort of scrambling for Yontif without a place to be. I know that you had spoken to a number of entertainers that were supposed to be at this Pesach Hotel for Yontif, and you asked them what their plans are, didn't you?
Yeah, well, you know what? I wrote to a few of them, and I really only spoke to Yehuda Green. Yehuda Green.
Yeah.
So I was feeling kind of bad for people that got stuck in this situation. However it unfolded, I'm just looking for Yehuda's email to me. So I was feeling bad. I know Yehuda. He lives on the west side. He's the main personality in the Karlbach Shul on West 79th Street and Riverside Drive. I was feeling kind of bad for him, but I said to him, "So what are you doing for Yontif in the end?" You know what he wrote back to me? He says, "Hi, how are you?" He says, "So for the first days, I'm going to San Diego. There's a program called Worldwide Kosher in San Diego. Because Sunday night Halamite concert in Atlantic City was canceled. So on Monday he's going to a program in Atlanta. And then for the last 2 days, he's going to a program in Colorado.
Okay, hold up. He was not. It does not sound like he was meant to be going to Atlantic City for Yontif. He was just going to perform one night.
The entertainers, if you look in the ad, the entertainers were not going to sit there for 9 days like the guests. The entertainers don't make money from sitting in one place.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know what the other ones are doing. I reached out to a couple of others. I really haven't really heard back from them. Yet.
Yeah. So the man named Heshi who ran this program, he was on Zev Brenner, and they had an hour conversation, and he says something interesting.
Did you watch it?
Did
you watch it?
I watched bits and pieces of it, but you pointed out to me that he said something along the lines of people should have bought traveler's insurance.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that spent a lot of money on Pesach. I guess if you're staying home and you have a lot of guests, you really can't get insurance for that. If you could, everybody would buy insurance.
Yeah.
If they didn't like the the eggs and salt water or the schnitzel, but what are you laughing about? But I guess it's typical for travel insurance. But we spent money many years on a lot of money on Pesach. I don't think I ever bought travel insurance because thank God over 30 plus years I never had a program canceled.
Yeah, you kind of expect that if you're going to pay for a product that you'll sort of get that product.
Yeah, I don't think you could. I don't think you could make a claim on your insurance because you didn't like the program because the soup wasn't hot. I mean, that could be an interesting kind of insurance that maybe someone will develop, put onto the market someday. You know, if the food wasn't good, wasn't up to par, or if the steak was too tough, maybe you could make an insurance claim.
I think people think that you're being serious now, and you're not.
Well, I don't think they need you to explain when I'm serious and when I'm not serious. I think it's pretty easy to figure out.
No, because you do it without even laughing. You're just saying it.
Well, I want to make sure that I'm heard clearly.
Well,
so
part of me kind of thinks that you're half kidding, and you kind of hope that they have an insurance that exists like that.
No, as I was, frankly, if you want to dissect what I said, actually, while I was saying it, I was thinking to myself, we might have something there. that might be an idea for down the road. I was in a hotel many years ago, and I remember that it was a couple. There was friends of ours. You guys were very young. You may not even have been born yet. But one of them had one baby, the couple, and they didn't get a crib in their room. So in those, believe it or not, I got to tell you something very shocking, Nachi. Once upon a time, you used to pay for your Pesach program after Yontif was over. Just like you check out of a hotel, you used to go away for Yontif, spend whatever you spent there, 5 days, 10 days, whatever it was. Sometimes it was attached to a shop, but sometimes it wasn't. And after Yontif was over, you got off the checkout line at the front desk, and you paid your bill. You wrote a check, or you gave a credit card, or you paid cash. There ain't no such thing anymore. No one gets in a key to a room in a hotel unless they have paid up 100%. Anyway, this person didn't get a crib for their room for their baby, and they didn't like it, so they didn't pay their bill. Let's say it was let's say it was a $5,000 bill, something like that. They went and they took the management of the hotel, the management that was leasing the hotel for Yontif, and they took them to a din Torah that they shouldn't have to pay for the whole stay because their baby didn't have a crib, and they had to put a blanket on the floor, and the baby slept on the floor. So I think you're talking about 30 years ago or more.
Who won the Torah?
Who won the Torah? I think in the end they had to pay.
I kind of feel like no. I have a kid, and if you don't have a bed or a crib for your baby, that's brutal.
All right, so
as
what do
a parent,
do?
You always got to come prepared.
You don't pay.
You
don't pay at all. Oh, this is before they invented pack and plays.
Really?
You have to anticipate that if you can make a reservation and you have a 1-year-old child or an 8-month-old, that you're going to have a place for them to sleep.
Did they have pillows? Did they have pillows in your days?
Yeah, there was pillows. There was pillows, not enough, but there usually was not a problem. Usually,
yeah. Well,
pillows.
Mirz Hashem, everyone have a beautiful Yontif. Unfortunately, me and you, we saw each other the other night in Monsey, Not unfortunate because we saw each other, but unfortunate because of the circumstances in which we had to see each other. We went to be Menachem Avala family in Monsey, Toporovitz, who lost their father, their husband, too young of an age, 39 years old, passed away suddenly on Thursday night. The Levaya was Friday, and it left a young family, a young wife, a young mother, five or six little kids. The oldest being 14 years old, in the most vulnerable and literally the most awful position that a family could be in.
Okay, let's take a moment and back up and explain why we were there. It was Monsey Shabbos. It was already close to 10 o'clock at night. I was getting ready to hunker down, and then your sister Malki called to say that she's going to Monsey. She spoke to Ima. She said, "We're going to Monsey. You want to come with me?" And Jeremy didn't want her to go alone, and so Ima said, "Yeah, I'll get up. I'll get dressed. I'll go with you." So I said, "She's going. I'll go." And we went there because how did it work? One of her friends called you. How did that work? How did that develop?
Somebody. Listen, it's obviously it was a terrible situation over there, as you can imagine, and Malki is someone who went through, eerily similar circumstance. Very, very similar.
Yes, it was 4 years ago. Her husband, Maishi, our son-in-law, your brother-in-law, just went to work one day and collapsed in his office, and that was it. And it was 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks. 3 weeks before Yontif.
Yeah.
Compared to what this family has to deal with, it looks like a luxury.
It does.
Because you need time to assimilate the emotions in your system,
Yeah.
and when we got there, Monsey Shabbos, we were told, Malki was told that the kids were downstairs, people were being Menachem Aval, people were there, and the rabbi of the shul was there, and they said that the woman, the mother, is not coming out of her room. She's not coming out of her room, and Malki went upstairs, and she sat with her for about an hour, and I'm not going to go into the details.
It was almost 2 hours.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm not going to go into the details of the conversation, but I will tell you. I will share with you, unless you have it, a text that your sister Dini got this morning from a woman who said the following to Dini. She said, "Hi Dini, it's so and so. Please thank your sister Malki a million times over. Whatever she said to the widow got her out of her bed, and she was present and downstairs with her children yesterday sitting shiva." So,
listen, when someone, it's such an important, stark reminder that when someone goes through something, they're equipped and they're in a unique position to be able to use the skills which maybe they didn't even want to have or develop, but the skills that they developed and the experience that they developed, and you can use those experiences and those skills to help the next person. And it's sort of that's what makes society better, is when each person is using those skills.
But there's a big difference between learning those skills in college by taking psychology and courses and social work courses, and having lived through it, and being able to look back 4 years later and say, "Yeah, I was there." And you know what? I have to tell you that the girl's father was walking around the kitchen, and I had a little chat with him, and I told him in my own way. I told him that what you're walking around here pacing back and forth tonight. That's where I was. That's what I was doing 4 years ago, around this very same time of year. I didn't say to him, 3 days after his son-in-law died and was buried, I didn't say to him, "Don't worry, everything's going to be okay."
Yeah,
I don't think that's appropriate at that point. But they have to just see you standing there. And I think I don't know what Malki said to the woman involved. I think her name is Zahava. I don't know what she said. I know some of what she said. That is going to stay private. I'm not going to blurt it out over the internet. But I don't think I think she gained a lot by seeing her walk in, and seeing that 4 years later she's alive and well, and her kids are growing up and developing in a good way and normally, and the extra added attraction, Baruch Hashem. She got married a year ago, just about a year ago, and she has, Baruch Hashem, a good and happy marriage and a great husband. Now, this is not something you could tell someone necessarily, but Maggie did tell me that she told this woman that, listen, I ran my family pretty much myself with the help of my family and my friends for 3 years, and then a guy from Toronto fell on me, fell out of the sky into my life about a year ago. So, we don't understand the ways of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. We're purposely designed not to understand it. So it's not a chisaron or a deficit or a deficiency in how we think or who we are. But I wrote about it this week a little bit. Some of what I just said I shared in the paper, but it's preparing for Pesach in a different kind of way. These people are going to have Pesach just like everybody else listening to this. They're going to have Pesach. They're going to have a Seder. They're going to be sitting around a table. The father's going to be missing, and every day they're going to be adjusting, in a palpable and in a visual way that if you were watching it, you'd be able to see. They're going to be, not getting comfortable with the new situation, but learning how to live with it. And the second part of my story is on a completely different subject. It's about a young man from New York, not giving you too much information, who unfortunately got into a bad situation in a domestic violence dispute, and also has some drug issues, and has been in Rikers Island for the last 6 weeks.
Really?
A Shomrei Torah mitzvahs guy, a from guy, and as we characterize it, and they're trying to get him out. They're not going to be successful getting him out before Pesach, but they have a deal with the district attorney to put him into drug rehab in Los Angeles right after Yontif. But the DA, the prosecutor, because of the guy's history, wanted to make sure that he's not going to skip out of treatment this time. Apparently he has in the past, and that it's going to be paid for. At least I think the first 2 months of the treatment will be paid for. I think it's a 4-month program, and they needed to raise $30,000, and your brother Yochanan and some other people were involved in that, and it took a day and a half, and they put the $30,000 in the bank to be able to tell the district attorney in Queens that they have the money. And when the guy is released, he's going straight to Los Angeles. You know what? Believe it or not, 2 things let me tell you about that. The only reason he can't go to Los Angeles before Yontif is because there's no beds available in the drug rehab center in L.A.
So he's got to be in Rikers Island for Yontif?
He's gonna be in Rikers, and there's 2 people. There's gonna be a Chabad shliach who's is either gonna be there or is gonna walk over from someplace, and he's going to have a Seder for 2 people. You know which 2 people? There's only 2 from people in Rikers Island. This guy and Donald Trump's chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, who was sentenced to 100 days. I almost said 100 years. 100 days in prison, coming down to the end of his sentence. But he's going to be there over Pesach, and there's going to be a Seder for these 2 people. So, you're talking about, walking around the aisles and your favorite matzah is not on the shelf anymore, and you're kind of losing it because you like a certain thin matzah and it's not there. Or you can't find the white horseradish. You only see the red horseradish, and you want white horseradish with your fish. So you kind of lose it. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's different levels of preparation for Pesach. That's what I think I'm trying to say.
I spoke to somebody.
Got my drift?
I got your drift. I spoke to somebody the other day who... He's in the catering business, and he had told me he made 8,000 meals for people who are incarcerated around the country. Pesach meals. Mm-hmm. And listen, Pesach is a time of redemption, and everyone gets a Seder, and everyone has a different one, and everyone approaches it differently and prepares differently. But at the end of the day, it's a time of redemption. It's a time that we look back to the days that we were freed from Mitzrayim, and we try to imply that, and we try to apply it to the life we live nowadays, and free ourselves from this current gullus.
As you can see from the two stories that we were just talking about, people get into situations due to nothing that they've done. They end up in a situation or a circumstance, and then there's people that get into problematic situations because of a self-inflicted type of problem.
Yeah.
But if a guy gets into a domestic violence situation, or has a drug problem, he didn't have the choice. He didn't have the choice to not. He had a choice not to do it, not to get involved in that. But he was an addict, and the whole objective here is to deal with his addiction, and get him on. He's a young man. He's about 40 years old, and get him on the straight and narrow path, and give him an opportunity. Like you said, there's constant opportunities for redemption, and there's if you have time to sit back and analyze the yontif that we're about to experience and enjoy. There's a lot of aspects of Pesach in particular that I think you could take with you and apply really to every day of your life as for the rest of the year, I think.
Absolutely. Speaking of the Seder, what are some of the tunes that you grew up with at your Seder? I know there's obviously the generic Manashtana and the generic Visha Amda, Dayenu. What is
Dayenu?
the...
Well, Dayenu became famous many decades ago because it was the music behind a Maxwell House coffee commercial.
Really? Which one? Dayenu.
Dayenu. Yeah. When you have a chance, go on YouTube or Google the Maxwell House coffee commercial with Dayenu. Believe me, the world didn't know anything about Dayenu.
It's going to ruin my childhood.
The word Dayenu became part of the English vernacular, along with chutzpah and a shmir. People just know that Dayenu. I don't know if they know what it means necessarily, but secular Jews or Jews that are not observant necessarily, I think everyone knows the Dayenu tomb, and they don't know. They didn't go to yeshiva. They don't know it from yeshiva. They know it because it was either they're old enough to remember the Maxwell House coffee commercial, or their parents sang it in the house because of Maxwell House coffee commercial. I mean, Vahisha Amda was made famous by what? Miami Boys Choir, that song, and Yaakov Shweki.
What you talking about?
Who sang the famous Vahisha Amda?
Yaakov Shweki and Yonatan Razel.
But doesn't that originally sung by Miami?
No, that was written by Yonatan Razel.
Okay.
That's which I think it was voted like the song of the century in Israel. That Vahisha Amda.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big deal.
All right.
So is your
daughter? Is your daughter going to be able to say Manashtana? Is she up to that yet?
I don't know.
Or it's too early.
I guess I'll find out. But the Chabad, they don't do the typical Vahisha Amda, right? They don't do the Shweki Vahisha Amda.
Vahisha Amda lavashay
No, that's not.
That's different. That's different one.
That is different.
Shweki's different. We have our traditional tunes, Vahisha Amda and
Dayenu. You guys did the Maxwell Coffee House.
There's only one Dayenu. Do you know another Dayenu? Dayenu. You know any other Dayenu besides that?
What did people do before what did people do before that commercial?
I guess they only had decaf. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what they did. I don't know what they did. I think it goes back before my time. Believe it or not, But
dinosaurs.
That was the Dayenu that I knew. What did they do in Bnei Brak when they were up a whole night? We start in the beginning of the Haggadah talking about the story about Rebbe Eliezer, Rebbe Akiva, Rebbe Tarfon. 4 great sages were sitting in Bnei Brak and talking about and then their students came in because they were sitting up a whole night. They were talking about Yetzias Mitzrayim, and the Talmidim came in And they said to the rabbis, look, it's already time for, say, Kriyash Mashal Shachris. It's time for Shachris. It's light outside. So the question that I saw asked many, many years ago is, and I think I've repeated it at the Seder probably a couple of hundred times over the years also, how is it that the four greatest sages, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Tafin, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, I know I can remember three of them, but of course I always leave out one, Rabbi Tafin, I forgot who the fourth one is. I know I mentioned it before. How do you say the four greatest sages of that age, of that time, sat up a whole night talking about Yeshias Mitzrayim, and they got light outside, and they had to have their students come in and remind them about Kriya Shema? The pshat is that, of course, they didn't forget to say Kriya Shema in the right time. The fact they were so submerged in talking about the Haggadah and learning on such a high level that the Torah they were learning and the pshat that they were saying generated a light that deceived the Talmidim into thinking it was light outside, but it was really the light of Torah that they saw. The sun didn't really rise yet. It was still night, and they weren't mechuyev yet in Kriya Shema. So you're invited to whoever's listening and wants to use that. I don't know where I saw it, but it was many years ago.
B'shem who?
I don't remember. I don't know where I saw it. To tell you the truth, I don't know. You could say that an Adam Gadol said it many years ago.
Absolutely.
But we're looking forward. We're looking forward to this Durham and the Shmura Matzah. You don't eat matzah the whole first 2 weeks of Chodesh Nisan, so it should be
It's
fresh.
been so hard,
and
it's been so difficult.
Yeah, but you like Shmura Matzah, don't you?
I not so much that I'll eat it during the non-Pesach days.
What do you do with your leftover Shmura Matzah? You can't return it to the store. You can't go to customer service in Costco and return your Shmura Matzah. I bet you some people try that.
Next year when we open up a matzah bakery, we'll try to figure out what we're gonna do with the leftovers.
L'shana haba b'Costco.
B'shana haba b'Yerushalayim. Everyone, we're wishing you an amazing Yontif. If we're not back with an episode tomorrow, have an amazing Yontif. Will we be one with Chol Hamoed? Who knows? Anyways, you can always stay tuned to the Daily Thread WhatsApp status. The link is in the description of this episode in the show notes. Hit that link. You'll be up to date on all future episodes, clips from these episodes, and of course, more news content that is going on in the world as we sit here recording. So thank you so much for listening to the Daily Thread. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you again very, very soon.